In this video, I'd like to talk to you about some of the ways you can go about reshaping what you've made, using some of the 2D sub-object editing commands, in other words, the ones you really need to know. Let's take a look at those. Now, changing the shape of an object many times begins with adjusting the vertices. I want to show you a couple different options there. Let's go ahead and select our object. And we'll go ahead into the sub-object mode. Now, if you don't have enough vertices in your shape, there's a couple different ways that you can add additional ones in. What I want to do is this. Let's go a little further down in our column. And I'm looking specifically for a command on the left-hand side called refine. Let's go ahead and use that. If you click now directly on a segment, see how the cursor changes? You can now add your vertices in. So if I was to select, for an example, the one in the middle, I could now dramatically change the shape of that. Now you have another vertex adding command called insert. Let's see if we can't find that. If we go, let's say about 5 inches down on the right, here's insert. Now watch how this one works. If you click now on the segment and drag away, look what's happening. You've added not just a vertex, but you're able to now reshape the segments that lead into that vertex. Right-click to get out. That's how that one works. A couple other nice things you ought to know, one of which is called chamfer. Let's see if we can't find that one. Here we go. Let's go ahead and click on the chamfer button, and I'm going to window select this vertex down here. Now, if I put my mouse on top of it, notice that I'm already in the chamfer command, so hold that down and pull away and look what this does. It divides the vertex in two and kind of creates a straight segment in between. I could also use the spinner next to the chamfer button if I wanted to. Now, you also have one called fillet. Let's see the difference here. I'll window select the one on the other side, and filleting actually doesn't create a straight, but a curved segment in between. See the difference there? Very good. Now, I'm going to right-click to get out. Now, I also want you to notice that there's one vertex on this line that actually is yellow in color. This represents the first vertex, which many times comes into play when you loft objects. We've got a chapter on that a little bit later on in the title, and also path animation. You need to know how to change the position of the first vertex. Now, it has to be on the end of the line when the line is open. So let's go ahead and select the vertex on the other end, and I'm looking now for a command called make first. There it is, a little bit above the fillet and chamfer buttons. Let's go ahead and click on make first. Now look what this does. If you deselect the vertex, it has now made this one the first in line. You see this? Now what happens if I want to connect these two ends together? A couple different ways I can do that. One of them is to move one vertex on top of the other. Let's go ahead and do that. I now want to select both vertices. Now it kind of looks like just one red dot. How do I know how many vertices I actually have selected? Go to the command panel, pull down, and you'll notice up at the top, I'm circling now with my mouse, 2 vertices selected. Watch this if I select all these. See the numbers change? So just know that you can always tell how many vertices you have selected by coming over here. Let's go back to those 2 we were talking about before. Now what I'd like to do is to weld these together. Let's see if we can't find a command called weld. We'll go a little further down in our command panel, and there it is right here. Let's go ahead and click on the weld button. Now, it doesn't look like anything has happened. Let's go ahead and click directly on that spot again and try to move the gizmo. Well, look at this. Even though I used the weld command, it didn't weld them together. Here's the reason why. Put it back where it was. You see this number next to weld? This is referred to as threshold, and the threshold number wasn't big enough. Max wasn't looking far enough to the side of the selected vertex to find the other. So many times you have to crank this number up. I'll use the number 5. I'll go ahead and select both vertices again, and now click on weld. See how both of them are deselected? That's a telltale sign that you've actually made a good weld. So, way to go there. Now, another thing. Let's go ahead and take a segment here and delete that. And I want to show you a way that you can actually connect these two together, but leave the vertices where they are. Want to know what the command's called? Just use the word connect. Let's go find that. We'll go back into vertex, and we'll see if we can't find the connect command. That's a little bit farther up toward the top. There it is under weld. Let's go ahead and click on connect. And now all you do is click on one and go ahead and drag that one to the other. There's a couple different things I think you need to know as far as segments. Let's go to the segment mode. Now we also have the ability of being able to refine. Again, you want to click on the middle of the segment. This adds vertices in. You also have the insert command. We know how that works, so no reason to go over that again. Now you also have the ability of being able to detach a segment from the spline that it's in. Let's go ahead and click on that. And if you go a little bit further down in the column here, you can find the detach command. Here it is. Go ahead and click, and this is actually now going to make this a completely new shape. I could rename it if I want. For time being, though, we'll go ahead and simply say OK. The fact that it's back to a yellow color means that it's now a completely new shape. If you ever find a situation where you'd like to add a few individually spaced vertices in a segment, watch this one here. We're going to click on this segment, and right next to the detach command, we have divide. Now I'm going to go ahead and set this number up to 4, and this is going to strategically place 4 vertices within that segment area. Watch this. And look what happens here. These are all now individual vertices. A couple of things I want you to be aware of when it comes to splines. Let's go ahead and kind of zoom out here and kind of go to this one over here. Now this particular shape, let's get out of that. This particular shape is actually one shape consisting of 2 splines. So we have a spline here and we have a spline here. Now we've got a command that we're actually going to be talking about on the 3D level called Boolean. I want to show you how this works. This is pretty sweet. I'm going to go ahead and select the outside circle shape if you want to think about it that way. And I'm going to come down here and look for a command called Boolean. Here we go. And the Boolean command is actually going to allow me to cut the T part if you would, out of the circle. Watch this. We'll go ahead and select the subtraction option. We'll click on Boolean. And now by clicking here, look at the resulting shape. So it actually cut one directly outside the other. Now right above that is a kind of a sweet command called outline. Watch the way this one works. We'll come back over here, we'll move our mouse, and it actually creates an outline of our existing spline. Take a look at that. Let's deselect all those so you can see what we've got. Now another useful option every once in a while would be to a kind of what is called mirror. In essence, it kind of reverses the direction things point. Let's go to our spline. We'll go ahead and select both of these. Hold down the Control key. And I'm now looking for the mirror command, which is right below Boolean. Now if you click on mirror, look what happens, how I can actually turn this into different directions, all depending on the option that I choose. That might come in handy every once in a while. So there's your most important sub-object modeling commands. Make sure you get comfortable with how they work. And as you do, you're going to find there's a couple considerations that you need to keep in mind, which we'll talk about in our next video. Let's go ahead and get to that.